Hello, and good morning, everybody. I am Ashley K. Butler here. Please do not forget my K, guys. Look, we are 3 weeks into 2025, and people are already forgetting. No, I'm kidding. No, guys, we're talking about our BYOB Insights. Again, becoming your own banker. No, not alcohol BYOB, guys. Come on, I need some of you guys to practice dry January or whatever they got going on. Anyway, guys, so if you have not been following up with these little videos I've been putting out for becoming your own banker insights, I highly encourage you guys to follow along and definitely subscribe to YouTube, to Vimeo, or however you pronounce this thing, and get it done, guys, to follow up what's going on here. I realized last week I forgot to include the becoming your own banker video, or not video, Jesus Christ, the links to the actual book. So for those of you who are trying to find the book, yes, it is on Amazon. Yes, it also is at the Nelson Nash Institute website as well too. So if you guys want to have access to the book, I'm dropping off the links inside the newsletter for those of you who are interested in learning about infinite banking, how you can become your own banker, and all that good stuff. So I'm dropping the paperback version, which is what I got. I'm dropped the Audible version. I got that too. So for those of you who hate reading the physical thing, I'm looking out for you. And for those of you who speak Spanish and read Spanish, there's also a Spanish version as well. So I dropped that link inside there for you guys too in the BYOB Insights section. So feel free to pick that up and follow along with me as I go through the book week by week, as far as weekly insights, how I'm using infinite banking, how other people are using it, and really talking about the mindset behind it and why we do it. All right, so moving along, guys. So I'm not sure if you guys are feeling the 2025 burn and the commitments and all the good stuff, but this is definitely a time to refocus as far as what it is that you set out to achieve and accomplish in 2025. And so, speaking of which, we actually have our upcoming webinar here for health and wealth, pretty much health and wealth connections, pretty much integrating what it is that I'm going to be teaching here, and also a few other things too, as relates to getting, for those of you who have set out to get your finances together, this is definitely something to connect that, as we have that coming up here on Zoom at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern time. So we have that coming up on this Thursday and next Thursday. And for those of you who are business owners who are looking to see how this can help you out with your business planning, succession planning, or continuation, definitely get with us for the Marshall and Stevens Business Valuation webinar coming up in February. So that is all the announcements I have for today. Let's get into this week's insights. And so, guys, so last week I spoke on Parkinson's law as far as part 2 inside the book, really talking about what Mr. Parkinson was referencing in terms of how a luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. And so just to continue off of that, so today I'm going to be talking about the annual patterns of spending. And so Nelson talks about it here inside the book on page 17. And I will be sharing my screen here for those of you who don't have the book yet, who are trying to figure out, okay, what are you talking about? What's the annual pattern of spending? I got you. All right. So as I'm sharing my screen here and getting this handy dandy bad boy up, guys, we are talking about just your everyday spending, because really what Nelson was getting at inside the book was just reaching out, or really talking about what the average American family is doing and what they have going on here. So all right, guys, so we are not talking about, especially when it comes to infinite banking, no, you do not have to have like massive wealth. Yes, you do have to have money to be able to implement this and get this started, but you do not have to be, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. You don't have to be any of those kinds of people to get something like this started. But really, what Nelson was talking about, he was talking about the problem here. And so the problem here is our annual pattern of spending. And what do I mean by that? All right, so really what he's talking about is just our everyday spending, everything that we have to do to be able to sustain our lives. And so he's talking about just things like automobiles, our transportation. He's talking about our housing situation. So that's whether you own a home and are paying a mortgage, or whether you're renting, for those of you who are renting apartments or renting homes as well. He's also talking about our living situation in addition to our savings. And so let's break this down here just for a quick moment. And so when he's talking about that, I want you guys just to imagine having a $1 bill in your hand right now, okay? So with that $1, out of that $1, 20 cents of that dollar is going to your transportation. So that's going to go purchase a brand new vehicle, or maybe even a used vehicle, okay? And of that same dollar, 30 cents of that dollar is going to your housing. So again, like I said, so that's whether you own a home or not paying a mortgage, or whether you are renting an apartment or home, or whatever you have going on. 30 cents of that dollar is going there. And then just for our everyday living, 40 cents of that dollar is going to that. And so we're talking about, just you're talking about food, we're talking about gas, we're talking about just, your everyday expenses, your phone, whatever the case may be. He's talking about just our everyday expenses. And then lastly, he's talking about savings. Now, inside the book, and I'm going to say this right now as well, he was being very generous about this 10 cents going to savings. Actually, our national savings rate is actually at an all-time low, especially with what's been happening here in terms of inflation and what's happened and so many other things too. So we'll talk a bit more about that too as we go along throughout the video. But I want you guys let's take a look at this right here. So this is just $1, okay? But he's also talking about, the overspending, going over it. So again, talking about Parkinson's law. A luxury once enjoyed now becomes a necessity. So I have to have these things. I got to have these things. But in order for that to happen, I need to be spending more than that dollar. So what do I mean by that? So I'm not sure if you guys see this red right here. This is called interest, okay? So we're talking about we're talking about other things too, like how do I continue to finance my everyday living, my annual pattern of spending? How do I continue to do that? It's with credit cards, it's with loans, it's many different things like that. And so 5 cents in addition to that $1 is going just for your transportation situation. So now again, so this is being generous. I have seen auto loans that are way more than 5%. But again, to be able to maintain that, that's what some people are paying. And also, other people are paying 25 cents in interest in addition to the 30 cents that they're already spending for their living situation. And then they're also paying another 5 cents just to maintain their living. And sometimes a lot of what I'm finding, especially over these last several years, is it's not because, I'm just spending way more than what it is that I need. No, this is just to maintain what I already have going on. And so really what it is that we're trying to accomplish, in terms of implementing infinite banking and how you can become your own banker and how you can really take advantage of this right here, this situation right here. So not necessarily so much for our housing situation just yet. And Nelson mentions this too inside the book. So really, if we were to tackle the housing situation first, that would be almost impossible for most people. So let's start where we can. And so for most of us, it's going to be our auto situation, our transportation. And then it's also going to be our living situation, because he talked about it in the book too when he's going through his personal story, where he said honest introspection revealed that I could curb some of that spending, where I can begin to take control of this interest right here and really be able to direct that back into my own savings situation right here. So those extra dollars that I'm spending here and here, I can redirect that back into my savings situation where I can get in control of that, and then eventually be able to tackle the housing situation. So that is what we're talking about, guys, in terms of the annual pattern of spending. So again, talking about Parkinson's law, talking about the human behavior element, or the human problem element. So we talked about the problem, which was the annual pattern of spending. Then we're talking about the human problems. Again, Parkinson's law was one of them. And then Willie Sutton's law is also, that's also on page 29 and 30, where he's talking about, in addition to that spending, there's some other spending too. So there's some other things, there's some other people involved here in terms of where our spending goes to. So he's talking about taxes, he's talking about other things too. In addition to the problem, there's the other problems to go with that. So as we're going through each and every single week, I'm going to be hitting on more of these insights and really talking about, again, the mindset behind this, the why behind this, and how you can better take control of your finances. And again, which is why we host our webinars. So again, if you guys are not registered, I highly recommend that you register. So if you can't make it this week, we are doing it again next week. So please be sure to come out and come learn some things and see how this can probably help you in your business, in your life, however you want this to benefit you. So with that said, that is all I have for this week. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to follow me or hit me up on any of my socials that I have in my newsletter, and we will get you going from there. So until then, until next week, peace out.